know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. I'm Brian Hagberg with you on your daily local, and got myself a fresh cup of Dragon's Roast right here at the White Cane Coffee Cafe, which is open today in the plaza across from Tops. You can stop in, get yourself a fresh cup, get it in one of these special laser engraved tumblers, get it filled with the purchase, and when you bring it back, get 50% off any refill as part of the White Cane Coffee Mug Club. While you're here, maybe pick up a cinnamon roll or a Danish. Breakfast burrito is always a good choice as well. Say hi to the friendly folks here at White Cane. Say hi to us as well. And if you can't make it down to the cafe, no problem. White Cane's also available on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also get your favorite roast to brew at home online at whitecanecoffee.com. And again, this is Coffee and a Conversation. Our special guest this week, Kyle Miller of the Warren County Youth Football League, also the Olean Area Youth Football League, right? That's,
correct. Yes.
That's the league you guys playing.
Yes.
Just wrapped up your season, but you got one more to go. I'm sure anybody who follows football around here is familiar with the Big 30 All-Star game that gets played in every August. But tonight you got yourself a little 30.
Correct. Yes, we do the same thing. As what it was is they started off as a fundraiser for a family. There was a guy who was real important to the area, did a lot for Campbell County football over there. He passed away, so this was a way for them to raise money and give back to the family for a guy that's done so much for the program over there. So it's for a good cause. Then it's a way for us to recognize the sixth graders. This will be their fourth year of football. Some of them fifth year, because there's other teams in areas where they actually start their tackle football program in second grade.
Oh wow!
So for some of those guys, it's their fifth year.
And for these sixth graders, it kind of represents that it a lot of places will do like like kindergarten graduation, things like that. And for them, this is almost like their graduation into, okay, next year you get into junior high and things start to ramp up.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean, for them, that's the next level. That's the big boy league for them. Like a lot of these kids, when they come in as seventh graders, they're gonna be playing eighth graders.
Right.
And I mean, we're right at that age level where they really hit their growth spurt. So whenever they get to seventh grade, some of these kids are real big. Now they're they're with some giants.
Yep. Well, and then so you'd see it all the time too. Some of those kids that are maybe a little on the smaller side, all of a sudden they come back after a summer off, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. I had a kid, Colin Havers. I coached him for about 3 years actually, and he was a big kid to begin with. But this year I got to see him seventh grade because I was my oldest stepson. He was a junior high quarterback this year for 80. And so I got to see some of my kids that I've coached in the past. And Colin Havers just like, I was like, man, look, he's going to be growing a beard pretty soon.
So, Kyle, tell me a little bit, what prompted you to get involved with the Youth Football League here? Obviously you've had some success. You got your championship shirt on
last year
with the dogs, and it is DAWGS. We had some confusion on that in one of our stories, but yeah, I mean, had a lot of success, and last year was the first year you guys partnered up with Ole, correct?
So to kind of get into it, I've been doing this my whole life. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandfather coached for a good many years, so it was just built into me. I played throughout, kindergarten all the way till I graduated, and then from 2006 till now, I always did some kind of assistant coaching. Didn't matter if it was with Sheffield, Kane, whatever program needed it, I did it. And then I believe I was with Sheffield for 2018, 2019. My kid was going into his first year of tackle football for the youth league.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you before the show, there's a huge lack of volunteering in this area. Mm-hmm. So at the time, Nick Bryan's still president, but he was the vice president at the time. It's like, hey, we would like to have some coaches.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll step up. I mean, I definitely have some experience there. So I stepped up and I gave it. Well, it was my second year. We had some people resign from the board, so then he asked me and Coach Stamcott to step up. And when we did that, it was after our second year, going into our third year program. It's like, what can we do to change the culture of football in this town?
Yeah.
And not just that, but work on the character of some of these kids, because what was going on with the youth program just wasn't getting it done. They're kind of teaching maybe the fundamentals, but it was kind of stopping right there. So I, growing up and playing in District 9, I had a lot of connections in that area.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of, I believe at the time, Cam Snodgrass, which he's the one of the founders of the Bradford Raptors youth program.
Okay.
I talked to him. I talked to a couple of guys from Kane, and it's like, okay, we'll do a vote here.
Yeah.
So we had to do a vote initially, be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We decided, okay, this is what's best for us. And then they had to accept us, which was unanimous across the board. They accepted us.
So, I mean, kind of a similar, if a team at the varsity level wanted to change, say, from District 10 to District 9, it's the same kind of thing that, the place that you're leaving from. And I mean, you go obviously leave, but they have to say, okay, yes, you can go, and then the receiving district say, yeah, yes.
Correct. Yes. Yep.
Okay. And you think maybe you guys made them regret that vote a little bit?
Yeah,
First year in the league, and you come away with championship.
I'll tell you what, though, our first year, our expectations were low because we've never played real football. We don't blitz, we don't shoot gaps. Everything's real basic. The blocking's real basic. The plays are basic. We actually had like 4 design plays, and that's all you ran. You couldn't run weak side, nothing. So, I mean, we're going into that season green, extremely green, teaching these kids real football. So we had a real long camp that year, and we're just like, let's just get them focused. What I ended up working on, and then like at the time, I had a great coaching staff, by the way, last year. And what helped was me and Dwight Damcott. We have the same mentality, the same philosophy. So it's like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. We sat down together. It's like, let's start with mentality, because it goes beyond X's and O's. It's like, let's start with mentality. We just want these kids to be physical, because 9 times out of 10, if you're the most physical football team on the field, you're going to win. Doesn't matter what the talent is on the other side. If you're hitting these kids, so it's like, let's just make this team extremely physical. So we did this family culture. That's what we bred. Physical. We had a physical aggressive mentality. We went into that season with low expectations. We won our first game. So that kind of
suddenly the expectations changed a little bit.
It changed quite a bit. And then our second game was against Smithport, and they were the defending league champs at the time. They were a very good football team. We took them into overtime, which was the first overtime in the last 4 years at that time. And we took them into overtime. We ended up losing 6-0. But after that game, I remember kids were in tears. It's like, it was cool to see that kind of emotion. It's like, wow, these kids get it. They care.
Right.
They know what they have to put. They have to give more and more to be able to get the result that they want. And that then like we make sure that it's a teachable moment for life. Because it's like, if you're being disciplined, if you're working with your teamwork, if you're committed, if you're giving full effort, then you're gonna get that win.
Yep.
That's the same with life. Whatever you're doing in life, if you're doing all that, then you're gonna succeed. And I remember a great quote: "Winning isn't everything, but what it takes to win is."
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting when you talk about not really playing real football with shooting gaps, with variety of play running and things. And I think this is what the 21st year that the Warren County Youth Football League's been in existence. And not to disparage anybody who's been involved with it or anything like that, but the idea being that you're going to start getting these kids ready for when they graduate into that junior high program, and then they're more ready to go maybe than a group that like when I first started, there was nothing until you got to 5th grade,
right?
And then you can play flag football in 5th and 6th grade, and then you're putting the pads on for the first time as a 7th grader. Yeah, and that's a whole different animal when you're talking about football, going from running around trying to pull a flag to you're putting pads on, and now you've got to hit somebody. And it's for a lot of kids it's jarring that first time you get put those pads on and hit somebody. And if you're waiting until 7th grade for somebody to find out maybe this isn't for me,
score,
and that in turn then leads to, okay, well, now we had all these kids come up for 7th grade, now we're leaving 8th grade, and there's 2 more ones in 9th grade.
Yeah, so weaning them out now. And there's some people got their feathers ruffled over this, but the thing is you're reteaching them football when you get to junior high when you should already be splashing.
Right.
The what I'd like to compare it to is the Cane Wolves. They were dominating, had a powerhouse team for years.
Yep.
What they did there was they took their youth program, and then those kids are coming up through together, playing real football.
Yep.
So by the time they get to varsity, they're just animals. And so you're seeing it now. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Cody Buck's a great coach. He's a phenomenal coach. And what you're seeing now is the result of us playing such watered down football in the past. There's no aggressiveness to this team. So it's pretty much like you're allowed to play patty cake football for so long.
Yeah.
You got the junior high, now you're teaching them a little bit more, but that team's so young.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're seeing the results of the way that we were playing football. Well, I'm telling you right now, the kids that we came up the last couple of years, you could already start to see the benefits of it in junior high this year. There was only 2 coaches there this year, unfortunately, but they weren't reteaching kids football.
Right.
It's like, hey, let's get in, let's run these plays, let's get it going.
Yeah.
Those kids are eventually coming up too. And I'm gonna tell you, dude, like Warren football is gonna be on the map here in a couple of years. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. Well, and I know it's interesting, and I was talking with my colleague Andy Close the other day. He said he had a conversation with Cody not that long ago, and he's like, he came away and he gets it. He's like, it might take some time, and people are going to have to be patient with that.
Yep.
But he said, he gets it, and if for whatever reason things were going to go awry, says it's not because the coaching staff doesn't understand.
Right. Correct.
It's one of those things, and and I've said to people throughout the season that especially with a young team and across an offensive line in particular,
That's where it starts, as the trenches.
yeah. And when you're young there, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, it's just going to happen,
yeah.
right?
Yes,
When you're
correct.
freshman and sophomore and you're playing varsity level of football for the first time, mistakes are going to happen. That's
Right.
just part of the game.
Yes.
But you can overcome that with size, with strength, with speed, agility, and some of those things. But you also have to have kids that have that little bit of nasty.
You have to be physical.
You have to want to go out there and get after it all the time and say, okay, you might beat me, but I'm going to make you pay for it,
Right.
To do so. And those are some of the things, especially with a young group, that you don't know whether that's going to come out until they get into a
Correct.
game. And now that you're in a league where you've got to have some of that mentality in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, that helps prepare them for when
Right.
they get into
Exactly.
9th, 10th, 11th.
Because these kids are getting battle tested right now.
Yeah.
We're in a very competitive league. Last year, when we played Counter Sport, they were
Mhm.
undefeated the whole way
Yeah.
to the championship, and that team was huge. I mean,
Yeah.
towering over our kids. So our kids are now battle tested. We go in that championship game, and I remember to me, us coaches were just like, these guys are going to hit. We know
Yeah.
this. We lost them 2-0 in the regular season on an
Yeah,
oversnap.
I remember that.
It was very
yeah.
competitive. And it's just like, we gave them everything they had. We're the only team that's done that. We get in the championships. It's like, they're going to come out there and they're going to hit us. We got to counter punch.
Yeah.
So now we got that battle tested mentality. Well, listen, none of our teams have been blown out. So now we go into junior high, right? These kids are now mentally prepared for it, overcoming adversity, facing adversity. If you have a program that's just constantly used to getting their butts kicked all the time,
Mhm.
either going to get kids that ain't going to come out, or they're just going to accept it, and you're not going to get no kind of effort out of them. And I love Sheffield because that's where I was born and raised in Wellbank. But I mean, that's what happened to them. And there's just you got select few kids that tried, but they're just so used to that culture. And no matter who comes in and tries, it's poisonous. It's like a cancer.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I had a number of years ago when Jesse Bluth and Dave Sherman were coaching boys basketball at Youngsville, and was talking to them, I think, before the start of their 2nd season. And one of the things that they harped on that was their biggest obstacle was changing that mentality. They both said, these kids were just so used to losing for so long that it was just, you'd go into a game and their mentality was, okay, we're going to lose. And it's, how do you take a group and convince them, like, okay, yeah, you've lost a lot, but it might not be because you're not good enough. a big part of that is because you take the floor and say we're going to lose, and so in your mind, say a team goes on 6-0 run, you look at that from that mentality and go, okay, well, here we go again. Whereas if you change that to, hey, they've scored 6 straight, we got to put a stop to this, and maybe come back and score 8 of our own, and it's just one of those things that it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes a lot of mental discipline.
It takes a lot of mental discipline. But the one thing I've noticed is if you keep the team being physical, and it's how you respond to them too. Our championship game this year, we went to our second straight championship. We faced a very powerful and just loaded up Cameron County team.
Yeah.
Good team, great program, good coaching. We go down 20-0 in the first quarter. I mean, quick. It happened fast. Anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong. I remember calling a timeout. It's like, this isn't who we are. This is not our brand of football. I was like, let's start swinging back. I was like, we just got to get back in this game. All we need is one touchdown to get back in this game. We go down there. We're the only team to score in their starters all season. We go up there. We make it 20-6, right?
Right.
Now we get a turnover on them. It's 20-6. We're driving back down the field again. We score there. If we can even make it 12-20 at that time, now we have hope. It didn't work out for us, but
you also now you start to sow those seeds of doubt in their mind, right?
They called a timeout on us.
Right. Like you said, you haven't been scored on. Okay, well, they scored on us. You can but you come back and score again, and then it's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute, what's happening?
I mean, we were driving the football all over them. The head coach called a couple timeouts. It's like, what? Right. I talked to him after the game. He's like, dude, we were shell shocked. He's like, no one's done that to us all season. But I mean, we ended up scoring 12 points on them. So the next 3 quarters, you take away that first quarter, we controlled the game. We went 12-6. The thing was we were facing adversity and we didn't quit. And it's like that, to see that at that level, at that age group is tremendous. Now you take that and you take them to the next level, they're already battle tested. Right. The mentality's already there. Like no matter how bad it might seem, we're going to keep fighting because we know that we could change the outcome of this.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's something to be said too about at that age going to other areas and playing teams and kids that you're not necessarily familiar with.
Exactly. Patience opponent. Yeah.
And again, like, when I was coming up, okay, so 5th and 6th grade, you were playing flag football, but it was just against the kids in your school.
You're friends with,
right? Yeah. And you know who's good and who's maybe not, and how things are going to shake out. And then, you get in when you got into 7th grade, you put the pads on for the first time. And so, you're playing other schools, but it was like, okay, Beatty and Sheffield and Eisenhower and Youngsville, and that's it. And you're still not, and again, this is approaching 30 years ago, right? So, and at that point, the size disparity between those schools was such that as a Beatty player, you didn't lose in 7th grade. I mean, we didn't, as a Beatty player, we hadn't lost in a 7th grade football game forever.
Right.
And I mean, that's just the way it was, and it was accepted. But so then the mentality became, well, we just win because we win. And then you get into 8th grade, and now all of a sudden you're playing with J.S. Wilson.
Oh, yeah, right.
All those McDowell feeder schools, right? And it's an entirely different animal. And that's where it becomes, wait, why aren't we just winning it? And you've gotten to a point now where by the time kids are in 8th grade, there becomes maybe a sense of complacency that sets in, and then it translates up and up and up.
Correct.
And it's hard to get out of that.
It's very hard to get out of that. And you see, there's some schools around here where you see it. The thing that hurts us is coaching's part of it. And I'm not, this is not me naming it. This is everywhere, right. Whole state PA. Yeah. What you get is a lot of dad coaching. We call it dad coaching. Right. You get a lot of coaches who are stepping up that might play Madden all the time or watch Sunday football. And but it goes beyond that because we're teaching them more than football. Right. The point of sports being in schools to begin with was to do things like get them to prepare better in school, hand and eye coordination, learn to be respectful in school. They're trying to take these high strung kids, wear them down a little bit with contact sports. That was the whole point of this. The point of sports was to help you succeed better in school, have you better prepared for school. So whenever we go into this, we got to remember as coaches, you're doing more than just coaching football. Everything that I've ever learned in football, I've applied in life. I've had my failures and I've had my successes. And my successes is because I took what I learned from the sport that I love and I've applied it to life. I give my all to this. Anybody that knows me, I give a lot. I have a huge family. If it weren't for my girlfriend Emily, like I just don't know, man. She's a saint because she really holds it down for us.
Yeah.
She holds down the household. She's always taking care of our kids and our family while I'm gone all the time. And I'm always giving myself to so many other kids besides her own.
Yeah.
And she just never blinks an eye on it because she knows how passionate I am about this, what it means to me. And she's actually involved herself in it. She was huge this year for helping us volunteer and do stuff. She always has things together, organized.
Yeah.
Like I didn't never have to worry about that. So it takes, and like the coaching staff I had the last couple of years, it's the same thing. They have a lot of family support. It means as much to them,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We just want to change the culture of the kids in general.
Right.
We see how today's society is. We're up against the battle. And it's nice to see these kids that I'm coaching excel at other sports, but also doing good in school because of what we're teaching them on our team.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it too. Like you said, a lot of, and I know there's a lot of people that look at school sponsored sports and think it's a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for a lot of kids, it's the difference between succeeding and failing in the classroom.
Yes.
And I mean, just from personal experience, right? Like in the fall, because I knew that if anything in my classwork slipped, I wasn't going to play.
Exactly.
You couldn't play.
Exactly.
The coaches get the grade reports every week or 2 weeks or whatever it was, and hey, if you're failing something, you're not playing this week.
Mm-hmm.
And not just not playing in the game, you're not practicing. You were sitting on the sideline doing schoolwork.
Right.
And so I know, like in the fall when it was football time, my attention was better. My willingness to do extra work was better. And then, once the fall started, wasn't huge, but there was a slip, right?
Right.
That attention to detail kind of slips because now it's like, oh, well, now there's no consequence outside of my own failings for not performing well in the classroom.
Right. And I know exactly what you're saying. And that there's one rule that we have, like when I have my parent meeting, it's just like, they need to respect you guys.
Yeah.
So, and I tell them all the time, all of us coaches, it's like, what you guys do for us here, we need to see you doing on the outside. Because if you're a dog out there, not just on the field.
Yep.
So I want to see you do good in school. You're respecting everybody. And like what I do year round, because I got kids that wrestle too, or play basketball. I might go into a basketball game. I'm always trying to be lingering around.
Right.
It's like Coach Miller's watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to be at this level all the time. And, I tell them, like, I start off with the practice with kids. It's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to become?
Yeah.
Like, what's your goals? This is in order to achieve that, you need to work hard for that.
Right.
I want to talk about Kane again because they had so many kids so many guys that graduated come back and put in the community, and that community is amazing up there. And what it was is you have a culture, you have a mentality that you're going to win. This is not me talking about winning. This is me talking about what it takes to win.
Right.
So you're constantly like, oh, we know that we got to work our butts off. We know that we have to be, family men. We know that we have to be respectful. These people go through their whole life with that mentality, go off to school, wherever they might do, become successful.
Right.
Then they bring back and they start businesses in the same town that they grew up in. That town is flourishing up there.
Absolutely is.
And that's a prime example of having that mentality, doing good in school and applying what you learn in sports to your life.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's, you look at the way that town has completely become, revitalized.
Yes.
And like you said, flourished over the last, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible to look at, from the outside and just see what they're doing. And, I've said to a lot of people since we moved back 6 years ago, like, hey, we need to start looking at King. What are they doing? Because there's not anything that they're doing that we can't do here.
Amen.
And replicate those results.
Correct. Yep. And what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of what's going on in that town is a lot of people have graduated from Kane, their alumni are coming back, replanting their roots in their hometown and creating these businesses and putting back into their community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can do the same here. So,
All right, well, with that, we're going to take a quick break so we can get a word from our sponsor. We'll be back with more Coffee and a Conversation presented by White Cane Coffee here on your Daily Local.
Providing a great cup of coffee and a better life for the blind and disabled. White Cane Coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
And welcome back as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Brian Hagberg with you on your Daily Local. Our special guest this week, Kyle Miller of the Warren County Youth Football League. And Kyle, you just asked me right before we came back on air if I ever thought I'd be doing this, and quickly no. And it's easy for me to talk sports with people. I mean, obviously, I've been a sports fan for a long time. But initially, when I started going to college, I was going to be an athletic trainer. I thought that was going to be my path, and found out that science and I don't really get along, and took a writing class, and between that and there was the professor of the writing class kind of encouraged me to start writing for the school paper.
Cool.
Tried it once and was hooked, and now here we are, a number of years later, and we get to have a conversation like this. And you were talking about, and we were talking just before the break about what we're seeing over in Kane, and how much their youth football program and their athletics programs in general have kind of helped contribute to that.
Mm-hmm.
The alumni wanting to come back and plant their roots back in their hometown. And like we said, there's no reason that can't happen here, but it starts by creating that pride,
correct,
and discipline and all of those things at a young age. And you guys are really trying to do that.
We are. I mean, it takes leadership. It takes the right kind of leadership. You gotta see how they treat their youth football team up there.
Yeah.
They treat it just like their varsity team. So I mean, you're drawing more kids to come out. Right. Especially in this day and age where it's like social media, everybody wants to be in the limelight. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So now it's really working where it's just like they get a ton of support. I mean, when they come, no matter where they go to play, they have a huge following. Yeah. One of the things that you always seen there, even back in my day when I was in high school, is you would see like Coach Bouch, Coach Barner, Coach Hillman, Coach Selfies. Yeah. You would see them be involved with the youth program. Mm-hmm. This year, Buck was involved with us, and that's the first time we've ever had that. You didn't really, you might talk to the head coach, but you never really seen him come down and get involved. Mm-hmm. He actually made some practices this year. He's always reaching out to me and Coach Damcott, seeing how things are going. He is involved with it. That's the start.
Right.
But this has only been 1 year with Coach Buck. Right. So I believe we have the right guy in place because he's evolving. I mean, this is your future.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would like to see a little bit more support for the youth program because this is your future.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to get it in that direction. Coach Damcott is, like I said, he's just like me. Unfortunately, we split up this year. He had to take over the other team. And the one thing I want to point out is we're the only team in the whole entire league that splits our talent.
Right.
We literally got to sit down and split our talent.
There's two Warren teams,
and
one from Cameron County, Cowdery,
and we both had success.
Yeah,
we both have winning seasons, and that's with us splitting our talent. So it's imagine if we just had one team, what we would have done this year. You know what I mean? And that's the direction it's going to because our numbers are dropping. So, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay because we're still keeping it there where we can still keep the football program going. But we're going to be dropping it down. It looks like we might drop it down to one team. But what I liked is we had great leadership on the Hogs. Yeah. We had great leadership over here with the Dogs. And that's what we wanted. So the culture that we created last year, we split and we had two teams. So now we got two teams with the same mentality going into junior high.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to see what next season brings.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned, again, Coach Buck coming down and taking an interest in the youth. And I know, I've got three girls and two of them were playing elementary level basketball this year. And Lisa Van took the reins on that. And, as a varsity coach, just seeing that the varsity coach cares, first of all, about what you're doing and is wanting to see, at an elementary age, what those players are doing can do a lot to boost their confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Can it inspire people to get better? Hey, they are watching, right? You guys can say it all day long, but when they see the
You wanna see it,
varsity head coach coming down and watching practice or watching games, then it becomes,
Mhm.
they're telling me the truth on that. It's not just something to try to motivate.
The one other thing I want to say real quick is Coach Mike Barr and Corey Copley, the AD there, have been amazing these last 2 seasons for us. That Sheffield football program has done a lot for our youth football program. If we need field usage, there was no hesitation. They involve us in their parades, their youth days. Same thing with Coach Barr. Whenever we're there and present, he's always mingling with the kids. So that was the 2 things I wanted. But yeah, they've been amazing for us.
Because last year you guys had to play.
We had to
your
play
home
in
games out at
Sheffield,
Sheffield.
Both
with
teams did.
redoing the field down here, and
well, this year we had a game there too. There ended up when we had that real bad weekend where it was storming out real bad. We had to reschedule our game with Smithport, and all I did was I got a hold of Corey. Corey's like, let me talk to Mike. Mike's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's like, we'll move our practice over, next to the junior high kids. You guys have the field. There's never hesitation.
Yeah.
It's like whatever we can do for these kids. And we had some of his athletes help us with like running the clock, doing the chains. So it's just pretty cool to see that. And the kids love that. They love to see the varsity players be involved. So
it's so interesting to me to see how the different teams create those interactions. We do a lot of broadcast stuff for Eisenhower football as well, and they have a season-long pen pal program that we do up there, which I think is really neat. They have pair up the varsity players with elementary age kids.
I love that.
They write letters back and forth
all,
and then late in the season they come and do like a big meet and greet and everything, and it's really cool to see and see how the players then interact with those kids that they've been writing letters to all season.
The older kids, I don't even know if they realize how big of an impact they have on a younger kid.
Yeah.
Because these younger kids, even like my son Chase, he has kids that he looks up to on the Warren football team. Mm-hmm. Like they know them by name. Yeah. They're seeing them on social media, and it's just like, so whenever they come talk to them, they're almost starstruck. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get your autograph kind of deal.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they see that they're performing the way they're being taught how to perform, it's like, yes, this is who I want to be. This is the standard. You know what I mean? And that's the direction we're trying to go in. That's whenever I came into youth and we decided to take it, because I was just like, we need to change something here. Right. There's been an irrelevant football program here for too long. I mean, we got Eisenhower, and then that's pretty much it. So then what's nice with our youth league is we have kids from all the areas.
Right.
So I had, Eisenhower, Youngsville, Sheffield, and Warren on my team.
Right.
Same with the other team. It's like, so we got that brotherhood. And I'm gonna tell you, the one thing about it is when you integrate these kids, like you just want that family culture. This week in practice, right? I got Smithport, Countersport, and Port on my team.
Yeah.
These kids were talking like they've known each other for years. And that has to do with leadership. Us coaches are getting along. We're sitting there talking to the kids from other teams like we've known them for years. That's the way it's always got to be.
Right.
You develop that in games with good sportsmanship. Yep. No matter what's going on in game, I'm sitting there lifting the other team up. Hey, good run.
Right.
No matter what's going on. So they're looking at me. So now when they see my face, now I'm the head coach for the South. It's like, oh wait, this, I trust this guy.
Right.
And then that helps because they can see it's infectious. It goes throughout the team.
Well, and like you said, it's family, and it's, when you're running a practice, you're not looking at a kid and going, okay, that's a Youngsville kid, so I need to put him here, and and that's a Warren kid, so I want to put him here. And
don't do it.
It's a kid,
right?
Like it's a dog, right?
Right. It's a dog. Exactly.
It's a dog, and and I'm gonna look at it and say, okay, how can I put this kid in a position not only to help the team but help him?
Right. And that's what we do. I don't care about your family. I don't care where you come from. If you struggle, what it may be, that is their safe place.
Right.
If you have talent and you're going to be coachable and you're going to listen, you're respectful and you're giving it all, I'm going to take a kid that's putting effort in every single game, that's coachable, and he will play over a talented kid.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want. If you're getting it and this other kid ain't getting it, that's how I go. I care less where you come from. I don't care, if you come from a family full of money or if you struggle and you live in housing. Yeah. That don't matter to me because you're a dog. And I know that Coach Stancott's the same way. That's what's nice about I'm saying leadership. Right. We don't care about that. We care about effort.
Yep. Well, and that mentality and these so many of these kids now, and not just in football, and you see it, with basketball and like AAU and travel baseball and things like that. It's you're not being kept separate
Correct.
as a young kid, and learning that, oh well, I'm here and they're there, and that means you shouldn't interact. And I think especially in within the borders of Warren County, that's been a problem for a long time, is that we've been divided by arbitrary lines drawn on a map.
Amen.
That delineate where somebody goes to school. And we're at a point, and we've been at this point for a long time now, where that can't continue.
It can't. We're all one community.
Yeah, we are all we're one county. And for us to succeed collectively as a county, we all have to succeed individually as a municipality, and they all work together. It's not like you can have one thriving and the rest kind of failing. It's just not going to work.
Nope. You nailed that, because that's what we need. Like you said, we're one county, right? We want to see everybody succeed because it helps the county. We're all paying taxes to the same county. We're all, living and integrating. We go shopping in the same town. It's like we need to just, instead of this whole division thing, we just need to be together. And I'm not saying join everything in one spot. I'm saying that we need to have the same support.
Yes.
For every town.
Right.
There needs to be the same support.
Yeah.
And like what I was gonna say is, like, our coaches wise, we have. I would like for the whole community to see how we did things. When I say we, I mean the Hogs and the Dogs this year.
Right.
How we done things. We've had success with different coaches from different areas, different kids. Look how we did it. Look how we did it.
Yeah.
We were able to make it a family no matter what. It's like, I don't care if you're from Sheffield, Eisenhower, Youngsville, it didn't matter, because we're a family.
Right.
We're going to support you. Even if you're still playing basketball up there next year, I'm still going to go catch a game there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's what I would like to see throughout the community, is like, because some of these people are related to some people in other towns.
Oh, yeah,
it's
absolutely,
like Pascuzzi's. That's a prime example.
Right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's just like, you want to see that throughout. And if you could just get that, and you could get the backing and support, you're going to see these towns flourish. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Why would we want just one thing, one town thriving? We want to see them all thrive.
Right. Well, and that is something that I've seen, and I think as we're seeing some of, what I would call my generation start to take those leadership roles in various areas throughout the county. You saw that, and I understand there's been a lot of angst and consternation about
Integration,
the hybrid deal that's going on with Sheffield and Warren right now. But when you see Mike Craddock and Josh Vincent go out to watch Sheffield volleyball games, because those are now their kids too.
Correct.
I mean, they're principals at Warren Area High School, but those kids attend their school. They are their kids now. And
that's huge.
And I've seen Josh at a couple of games now, and he's always there to support. It's not just for show.
Well, both those guys are great guys.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mentioned Lisa. It's the same way. I mean, she makes an effort to go watch her players when they're competing in other things, to show them that, hey, I care about you as more than just a basketball.
Amen.
And that's what we need to see more of throughout the county.
Amen.
And I mean, really, everywhere, but especially here, we've got to start breaking down, like I said, those arbitrary lines on a map need to become meaningless outside of, you're going to go here instead of here, and that's just because it's closer.
Amen. Yes. I love what you're saying there, because that's exactly what I've been saying. Whenever I take my time, and this is where I was going back to my girlfriend being a saint. It's like, I'm taking my time, and I'm still giving my time to other kids, because I want them to see. It's like, you were more than a football player to me.
Exactly.
I'm always reaching out to them. Even junior high this year, I'm there. It's like, oh, Coach Miller's here. It's because I was watching these kids wrestle and play basketball and play baseball all season. All season, I'm making sure that I give some kind of time to them, so they see I care. That's going with Craddock and what Vincent did. I mean, it's amazing to see that, because you want to take those guys and their leaders like that, and you want to keep them going just like that.
Well, and that's from our business standpoint. Here at your daily local, the YDL Sports Network, the United Test Sports.com, we go to places, obviously, like I said, I've done a lot of Eisenhower football broadcasts. Cody and I have done that, for the last 3 years. But a lot of that is because, when we first started this business, one of the first people I called when we knew, in 2020 that fall sports were going to be played, one of the first people I called was Jim Penn up at Eisenhower. And I told him, I said, hey, this is where we're at, and this is what we're doing. And the first thing out of whatever you need, we're here for you, and we've taken that to heart. And now, and so when we go and we do games there, and there's teams from across District 10, obviously, that they're playing. But we want to see not just the Eisenhower kids succeed, but whoever they're playing. We want to see them succeed as well, because, again, that just makes everybody better.
Yep.
And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that from going to those games and being around the kids, I've had a number of kids reach out and say, hey, can I get involved? Can I come on? And Chris Bunk is a perfect example, came on and did some basketball broadcasts with us last year. And, he wants to be a sports journalist. And if we can help him, then now he's going to succeed in life. And maybe he's going to want to come back, and when it's, time for me to write off in the sunset, and, come in and step in and plant those roots and be here. And, and I've told Chris, I said, I want so much more for you than that. But those are the kind of things, like, that's how, like we were talking about with Kane, that's how those things start.
Yes.
By getting kids wanting to be part of something that is part of their community.
Amen. Yep. And I'll say this, you guys did an amazing job covering youth sports, and that really helped us get us more on the map in the community, because we started making youth sports bigger than just what everybody just thought, just kids, like T-ball kind of deal.
Right.
And I don't mean to downgrade T-ball, but T-ball's
right.
You ever seen T-ball game? But
and again, not that everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
And that's a great place to start.
And one thing I wanted to say is, because it's a contact sport, so just kind of get back to football. You get a lot of people, because we have this flag league that started to develop, and it's like you're just putting these kids back. The reason why I say that is because you could be an amazing flag football player, which you're touching on earlier. But as soon as you get pads on them, I've seen kids that are extremely fast, can catch a football, can throw a football, can run her out. You put pads on them, they disappear. Now we're not figuring this out till 7th grade again. You're just putting us back to where we just started, right? I love what we're doing with the youth. The kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade. I love that flag program. You're bringing out the interest. Whenever you're done with that, we had one concussion this year, and it was because the kid bounced his head off the ground. That could happen in any sport.
Right.
We do the Seahawk tackling, which is a safe, effective tackling. That's when you're taking your head out of the tackle. We're making sure kids don't lower their helmets whenever they're running the football. You square your pads up. It's a very safe program. A lot of people don't know this, but could you guess what sport has the most injuries in it?
Soccer.
Basketball.
All right.
Basketball.
I know. I want to say soccer actually has more concussions.
It's close. It is
because of you've got kids
right
intentionally putting their head on the ball.
Correct. It is high, but so football gets a bad rap.
Right.
But really, we're extremely safe. Everything we do, you start off making sure, because tackling, it is a very physical football. Football is physical, so there's contact in it. So we do the Seahawks tackling. Now we're tackling properly, running the football properly to make sure to take the head out of the game.
Yeah.
You have incidences like you could in any sport where it happens, but it's a very safe sport. And then now you're taking your kids. Like I said, other areas are starting their kids at 2nd grade. We're not going to do that, but and you're wearing them down. You're teaching them discipline, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with flag. Everything that all the culture that we have with tackle football, that's because of it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
And so it just,
well, and at this age, right? Like, you hear people talk about all the time, even those kids making the transition from college to the NFL and the speed of the game and slowing things down, right? And it's so much easier to learn safe techniques when you're moving at a slower speed, because you're training your body then at a slower speed, and
a lot easier to train that when they're in third grade, when things are
Right.
slow, and then in seventh grade where everything's really fast and the kids are huge. It's like, so I mean, the benefit is that we are getting them at a young age and doing it now. Like you said, everything's slow. You can teach them. They're all on the same level, right? But whenever you take them and you're just throwing them right into tackle football in seventh grade, it's I mean, that's a huge difference. So now you're going to see the injuries.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, and again, it's so, I mean, just to see the difference in the way things are being taught and played, you know, again, when back in the day, when you first put pads on, it was, you know, okay, try to, you know, you hit with your shoulder and stuff, but I mean, you know, you'd see people going in, you know, head first and spearing. And I mean, I remember being in a game one time, and I made a tackle on a kid, and I mean, I was standing straight up and made the tackle on the kid, and the official at that point said something about, watch out you don't spear him, and I'm like, how was I spear? I'm like standing straight up. But you know if we're going to weed those things out of the game and get rid of that, you know, lowering the head and leading with the crown of the helmet, things like that, it's got to start down here, not up.
Well, a lot of other things. I mean, when you're at that age, about the second, third grade, I mean, even now, and this is one of the reasons why I love youth sports so much. Their brains are sponges.
Right.
You're taking these kids, they're green and everything that they do, and you're able to form them into what they need, you know, the proper things. You're not taking them where they're already set in their ways. You're creating that. So if you have the right leadership in place, you're creating that. So now you're teaching them how to do things safely. You're teaching them to be good kids. You're doing it at a young age where they're more, you know, receptive to do it.
And even then they become the teachers too. You know, somebody comes in late, and they're going to see it and say, hey, that's not right.
Right.
And you know, so you're developing, you know, leadership and teachers, because then they're looking at it and going, hey, this isn't how we do this. Do that. You got to do it this way.
Yes, correct. Yep, nailed that. But this is why I love youth sports. I mean, you got your Youth in America, and when I went into this, it was more than football. Like, and I said that earlier, it was just like for any of us coaches, like both of us have great coaching staffs right now. So it's just like, we want more than just football. If we could just take these kids, get the mentality now, then maybe when they get older, now it's infectious. Now they're spreading it to their friends. Now you're going to see a culture change. And that's really the goal of it. And if you get them now, whether, you know, you hear it all the time. You know, old people say all the time, it's like their brains are like sponges when they're young. That's why I love youth. But that being said, I'm over youth. This will be my last game coaching in youth, and I'm getting off of both boards. But I'm ready to go back to where I was. But I enjoyed it. I think that we have a lot of good guys in place. I'm not sure what Coach Damcott's future is. I think he's going to plan on staying, so he still has a kid come up through. And him being the president and where he's at, that's the best thing could happen in this. Our youth programs and continue to flourish for that guy. I need to know that.
Well, and I'll say, you know, having been, you know, kind of keeping tabs on you guys over the last few years, this program and this league and these kids are better off for having had you.
Thank you.
Part of
appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate everything that you've done for them, and hopefully you find a way to stick with it in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, my goal is to come up through with the kids that we have, no matter if that's an assistant, whatever Coach Bupp's plans are for me. That's what I plan on doing. I just want to be around these kids and help in any way that I can. My goal, you know, one of the things that any dad could say is for their son to just come up through with your kid. I mean, that's
right. Yeah.
That's could be the biggest accomplishment I ever had. You know what I mean? I just think about it all the time, because my son Chase, he's been doing football for a really long time. He's not the biggest kid, but I always get compliments from everybody in the field. It's like, that kid's insane. Like in practice, because I don't coach the defense in practice. Coach Bliss does, which he's the head coach for the port team. He's like, that kid's an animal, dude. It's like, well, I've been doing this with him since he's been in diapers. So same with me. You know, I was real athletic, but my grandfather was doing the same thing with me. You know, I'm coming out of the womb. It's like football.
Right. Yep.
But so that's a goal for me. I mean, I flirted around with maybe going back to Sheffield too, but I got a lot of kids. You know, I have a really great culture of kids now that love me and I love them, even kids that aren't my kids.
Right.
And we already have that, you know, that closeness. And it's just like, if I keep that coming up through, I keep these kids on the same page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then,
And that continuity can really help with that too. You know, if they know there's going to be somebody there that they're familiar with, you know, even if it's in, you know, a different type of role, whatever. Just having that continuity from year to year helps encourage that continuation.
right, you're seeing the same faces. So I've had these kids since they came in to tackle football. Now they're seeing the same face no matter what level they are. We already have that trust there. We already have that relationship established. No matter what my role is, they see that face continuously. So they know no matter what, because they like, Coach Miller's already got my back. I know how he coaches, you know, so it's all you're going to see is success out of that. And I'm going to keep, you know, we're going to keep the same mentality with this age group coming up through. Like you said, then if they return it, now you're starting to see what Kane's doing now.
Yeah. And again, you know, like we said, there's absolutely no reason what's happening there can't happen here, but it's going to take a lot of change in attitude and mentality.
It's going to take time. People are having to be patient.
And you've got to be patient with it, but you've also got to be open to maybe doing things
different way
than we've done for a long time, because the way that it was done 40 years ago is not the way it's going to be successful.
No, not even close.
We're going to have to start embracing it.
Just it's a different society in general. I mean, we go from, you know, Coach Shea and Coach Bonavita. You can't do things that way anymore. So
I had the pleasure on being an assistant on his staff.
Coach Bonavita.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that guy though. I mean,
yes,
he taught me the discipline part of football. But yeah, you couldn't. There's no way you could do things the way he did things.
Oh my God!
Not now.
It was so fun to watch sometimes, especially like during 2-a-days, because he could go from, you know, being up in a kid's face and chewing him out about missing a block or a tackle or something to, you know, 5 seconds later, all the marching bands have started practicing again. He's over there just dancing
that was him,
and having a good time. But it, you know, I think it was a perfect demonstration, right, of you can have fun, but you have to be disciplined.
Yes, that's what I meant by him teaching me the discipline part of it. It's like if you just apply that discipline, respect, and it's like he didn't care that if you felt disrespected by what he was saying, he didn't care, because what he wanted you to do is respond in a certain way. There better be yes, coach. Yeah, no, coach.
Yes. You know, and one of the best things that ever happened to me is, you know, because we would scout. You know, when you play your home games on Saturday afternoon, that gives you a lot of time to go out and scout on Friday nights, right? And there were often times where he would come with me to some of the scout, just, you know, conversations we have in those car rides, you know, driving all over District 9 to scout teams.
He knew football very well.
Well, and he knew football, but he knew life. You know, and one of the most profound things he said to me, I was telling him about, you know, thinking like, well, I might just do this, and he just looked right at me and he better. And he said, don't settle. Don't allow yourself to settle. You know, we're talking 27 years later.
Yeah, he was a great life coach. I mean, he was a guidance counselor there towards the end of his career, and he had because he was a teacher for us in Sheffield too. So it's just the conversations that you had with that guy. You've seen a different guy in the football field, but who he was behind the scenes is the reason why I loved him so much. There's guys that had impacts on my life. Coach Bouch from King, Coach Bonavita from Sheffield, Coach Ray Barr, who's no longer with us, but he was a phenomenal coach. And then Coach Randy Mountain, who was my flag football coach. They all had the same principles coming up through, and and I took everything that I had from all those guys, and that's who made me who I am as a coach today. And then I got, of course, my coach, you know, Grandpa Ken Miller. So, and I went,
can't forget.
I can't forget about him. He's the one that planted the seed. So, but they all had the same principles, and they're all old school. And now all I've done is take old school and put a little bit of new into it, because you have to adapt. If you don't learn to adapt, then you're never going to make it.
And that was Ray Barr and I actually had the same great team that year. So got a great opportunity to spend a lot of time with him.
Great coach,
great man, and certainly Mike and trust you to go back to him?
Oh, they're phenomenal men.
So,
Yeah, they
yes,
definitely take after their father. But yeah, Ray taught me a lot. I had Ray 7th, 8th, and 9th grade actually. So I had him for 3 straight years, and he was just everything he taught us. And he's the one that also was just like, it didn't matter where you're from, who you were. I was a smaller kid growing up, but he's just like, you got something that no other kid on this team has: heart,
Right.
and aggression.
Yep.
I mean, I can play in the offensive line, the defensive line, which is where I played a lot for him, because he's just like, no, he's like,
I need somebody.
yeah, I need someone
need
that's going to come
somebody,
out and pop someone every play. And he just taught me a lot. And then I took that mentality that I got from him, and I just kept it going. And then Coach Bouch, I mean, I'm coming from Sheffield to King.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, here I am in no man's land, basically. I do have my mom's side family's from there, so I got a ton of family up there, but it was just like, he didn't care. Yeah. He just like, this kid's an athlete. He's like, he puts in the effort, and it didn't matter to him where I was from. I played. So it was just, you know, anything I got from any of those coaches, that's what I applied to life and the way I coach today.
All right, God. Well, we taken up quite a bit of your time. I know you got to get ready for
I got the All-Star game.
Your All-Star game tonight, your final one, and want to thank you for taking some time with us. Not just the time today, but taking the time out that you've taken over the last few years to help the kids in our community, to serve as a role model for them. Again, maybe it goes unsaid more than it should, but thank you for being a volunteer and working with kids.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. I mean, this is, whenever we talked about this, it's like, I just want to talk about football. I want to kind of get youth sports out there more. And it's the greatest joy in my life is what I do as a coach. It's being a father first, but then it's giving back to all the other kids in my area. Until I take my last breath, this is what I'm always going to do. So the whole community of youth is important to me. So I'm always going to be here.
We are absolutely better off for having had you here. So.
Thank you.
With that, we're going to wrap it up for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and don't forget to tune in every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. as White King Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. Every weekday morning at 8:30 a.m. get your morning cup of news fueled by White King Coffee right here on your Daily Local. This is Brian saying thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Know what would make that better? Cup of White King coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White King coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
It's not just about music lessons. It's about hard work, perseverance, dedication, self-expression, making memories. Let's make memories together.